with business and labor leaders that we have just heard. Mr. President.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the media, in particular. Deputy President, leaders of business and labor, ladies and gentlemen, in February this year, I convened a meeting of chief executive officers of major companies and captains of industry to discuss ways in which we can work together to reignite economic growth and creating jobs. I mandated the Minister of Finance to lead a process of engaging with the private sector, in particular, to map out a strategy to the goal of growing the economy. We have met this evening to assess progress made since the last meeting in Cape Town. We were joined by the Presidents and Secretaries General Secretaries of FEDUSA, COSATU, and NACTU. We are pleased that Labour has joined these talks, which are aimed at arresting slow growth and to save and create jobs. The Black Business Council has also joined the process and will be participating actively going forward. We have already seen the value of working together. Leaders from labor and business joined the Minister of Finance on a roadshow abroad early this year to promote the country and prevent a possible credit ratings with the announcement by Moody's in affirming the sovereign credit rating on Friday. Moody's ratings agency noted that South Africa was approaching a turning point after years of weak growth. This is confirmation that our collaborative approach has been successful. While our economy has recovered from the global financial crisis, the level of economic growth has been much weaker than previously anticipated. Part of this is due to the challenging global economic environment. At the same time, we recognize as government that there are also some domestic constraints that we must attend to. The National Development Plan sets out the structural reforms that should be implemented to create an enabling environment for job creation and inclusive growth to address the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. As government,
we have translated the NDP into an implementable program, the medium-term strategic framework, which sets out government goals and priorities from the NDP over 5 years. We have responded to the crisis by introducing the 9-point plan to boost growth and employment within the framework of the NDP. The 9-point plan focuses on energy, infrastructure development, agriculture and agro-processing, mineral beneficiation, a higher impact industrial policy action plan, small business development, and encouraging private sector investment, amongst others. In the last year, substantial progress has been made in these areas. However, faster and more successful outcomes will be achieved when we work together, pursuing common goals as government, business, labor, and civil society. That is why we are pleased that we are working together more than ever before as the various sectors. This is truly a very positive development for our country. To further respond to challenges we face, we have decided on some short-term interventions in addition to implementing the 9-point plan. One of these is to reduce policy uncertainty and shore up confidence in the government's ability to deliver on its promise of boosting growth. More than that, we need some concrete initiatives which ensure a turnaround in our economic fortunes. I'm pleased to announce these initiatives. They include the following. First is a joint private and public sector fund for small business support. Will be established with roughly 50-50 contributions by the parties or partners. The focus is to provide venture capital type funding and monitoring to the target groups, especially Black entrepreneurs. Secondly, to accelerate inclusive growth, we must expand investment. In this regard, the model we used for renewable independent power producers offers valuable lessons. As part of scaling up investment, we will move with speed to extend the model to coal and gas, as I had announced in the State of the Nation address in February. Third, we have agreed to expand government and private sector co-investment in infrastructure. This project seeks to use the independent
that audio is gone again.
or possibility mechanisms of strengthening our state-owned enterprises so that we reduce the risk they pose for the fiscus, so that they can play a stronger role in driving development. Fifth, the credit ratings work stream will identify potential areas of reforms and interventions to avert further credit rating downgrades. On behalf of government, let me commend business for its efforts and desire to partner with government in taking the country forward, in taking the country forward. We also thank Labour for joining the process with a positive spirit and for pledging to become active difficult economic climate. I will be having a special meeting with Labour soon to take discussions further. Today's meeting is yet another major achievement for our country. The work streams that were established in February will continue their work and work out an implementation program. South Africa is now beginning to realize how we can work together as Team South Africa in the interests of our country and people. We look forward to substantial progress being made within a short space of time. We remain optimistic that we will be able to weather the storm, especially if we continue working together in this manner. Together, we move South Africa forward. I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to other commitments, I will be leaving the big chiefs behind me, who will answer all the questions on behalf of all of us. Yes, they are all here. So allow me to say goodbye and thank you for coming. I leave to you, Dr. Ngulunga. These were the two musketeers, not conspirators, musketeers who were leading the process. But they will deal with it, and then we have omongameli ngapha wabasebenzi noyiphini lakakhongolose abangazike ukuthi iphini yini bayobuza kwabazimu. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy President will make some remarks and then there will be some questions. We'll open it up for questions. Mr. Deputy President.
Thank you. There isn't much more that I need to say really, except to say that what the President has announced and what we see unfolding before us is really what I would call the makings of a compact between Labour, business, and government. This is a new era that we are getting into. And I guess maybe faced with challenging situations like we are faced now, we've had the patriotism of South Africans surging to the fore, and with all the leaders in business, labor, and government getting together and addressing the key challenges that we face. And I think the President articulated very well the issues that were addressed, and also explained the progress that we have recorded thus far. And many of the questions, of course, will clearly be answered by the Minister of Finance, as well as by Mr. Jacob Zuma, because, as the President said, they were the real architects of getting these role players together to where we are today. The work, however, continues, as the President said. The work streams are going to be moving on, and we will be meeting in this fashion once again, and this time and in the future more emboldened by the active participation of black business, as well as the active participation of labor. We're fortunate to have had all the three key trade union federations in our meeting today, and they all contributed very, very effectively in the deliberations. So not much more that I need to add, except, I guess, maybe to start taking your questions, which I will immediately deflect to the clever guys behind me who will answer the questions. No questions, particularly at this hour of the night. Who would really ask a question? Let's hear you, sir. Yourself, yes, please.
My name is Justin Brown. I'm a journalist from City Press. Just wanted to ask, the fund size that is mentioned, what kind of money is the government and the private sector expecting to contribute towards that? And just regarding SOEs and SAA, the President has been quoted as saying that there will be no sales of SAA. Does that exclude the option of an equity sale, like a 25 or partial sale of SAA? Thank you.
I'm going to ask, with your kind permission, both of you, that maybe the issue of the fund should either be answered by yourself, or we could also ask either Mr. Adrian Gore or Mr. Joffe, who've been actively involved in it. But just coming to the last one, yes, the President did, and while we consider who should answer the first question, the President did say that SAA is not for sale. In the process of all this, we obviously, as we give attention or pay attention to the issue of state-owned enterprises, we're looking at various models. And one of the models is to see how we can get the private sector to participate in some of our state-owned enterprises. The private sector has a great deal of contribution to make from an operational point of view, financial point of view, and a whole number of other areas where they can participate. And this will obviously also be hanging on the foundation that we are laying. What we are doing here is to lay a very strong foundation of how government and business can work together, including labor. And working together will cover a whole number of areas, including how we begin to build models on how state-owned enterprises, which are really the property, the assets of South Africans as a whole, of how we manage those and how they should be operated going forward. So there will be a plethora of areas in which there can be full participation of the private sector as well as government in some of these. I'll leave the other one to you, Mr. Mabuza, to call on anyone.
I think Adrian could do it, and then we also, Deputy President, talking to some of my colleagues to see if we can't get some of the pamphlet, the flyer that was circulated in there.
Yeah.
If we can't have enough, I think we've got more business people in here than the media, so I might have to borrow your pamphlets, and then we will send them to you by soft copy, my colleagues in the business community. So there are some from, so Adrian, while you're answering, let me give this to the appropriate people to circulate.
Television, the cameras.
Just to answer the question on the size of the fund. First, it's important maybe to say that the fund is a private sector initiative. So, we are obviously hoping the government contributes, and we're hoping the intent, but we focused entirely on what business can provide, and we've suggested getting to a fund of about 1.5 to 1.6 billion from business. So ultimately, if that could total 3 billion, I think we'd have done well. We'd like over time to make that larger if possible. Our sense is that would be sufficient, certainly at the outset, to make a serious impact. So that is the intent. We had a very, very good response so far. We estimate, it's still in its formative stages, but we estimate we've raised probably close to 1 billion already, or 5 billion. So there's been a really strong, overwhelming amount of support from, I think, all sectors in business. So I think it bodes well for the future.
This is clearly a new dawn. When last did you see business people coming to a government building and speaking from the same press conference platform with government? This is clearly a new dawn where businesses say we are going to be raising as big a fund as 3 billion. And obviously we want to see it go to 10 billion so that it can help to support entrepreneurs who are the great job creators in our economy today. One or two more questions, then we have to run away. There's a question here that will come to you.
Mr. Deputy President, we're talking about job losses. Steel sector is about to collapse. I'm just curious as to what was discussed during today's meeting. My name is Angelo Coppola. I'm from CCTV.
Okay, we will take that one. One more question. Let's take 2 or 3 questions.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mzondi Limbeji from the SABC. Deputy President, today there were statistics that were released about the increase in unemployment. Did you have the opportunity to also discuss this, because we are told it's the highest in many, many years?
Thank you. Let's see another question there.
Thank you, Deputy President. It's Tula Sizwe from ENCA. I think my question is for the Finance Minister. We of course had Moody's coming out with, keeping our credit rating at 2 notches above sub-investment grade, but we still have the 2 hurdles of S&P and Fitch. Just to check with the Finance Minister, are you having jitters about this? Because, historically, we know that Moody's tends to give us the benefit of the doubt more than these 2 that we still have to clear. And what is the plan? Do you plan to do anything extra, particularly targeting these 2 ratings agencies? Thank you.
Minister?
Thank you, Deputy President. The good thing now, compared to even 3 months ago, is that this is no longer my problem. We've all jointly owned the problem, as Labour, as business, and as government. And what is good about today's meeting and the process leading up to it is that we have a joint commitment to ensuring, firstly, that more South Africans understand what is this downgrade about? How does it actually impact on small businesses, on your mortgage loan, on your car lease, on your pension funds? And in each of these areas, there are negative impacts for ordinary South Africans, let alone big or small businesses that borrow money from banks and that will have to pay higher interest rates for that kind of borrowing. Secondly, we will approach the coming visit by S&P and the interaction with Fitch as a united team, business, government and labor together. And they will, particularly S&P, which is coming to South Africa next Monday, meet representatives of government, in as much as they will meet representatives of a diverse set of business leaders and union leaders as well, and other parts of civil society. And what is important about today's meeting and the outcome is that we are speaking with one voice. We are saying that we are intent upon focusing on increasing inclusive growth and attending to the issues of job creation, which is obviously urgent. So there are various ideas shared about how do we stop the loss of jobs, how do we increase the provision of jobs, how do we ensure that young people have training opportunities, however short-lived they might be, in order that they have better prospects in life as we go ahead. And these are some of the areas that as a collective team we said that we would focus our minds on in the short term, and as the President indicated, now start focusing on implementation. Because both the rating agencies and other people who have an interest in South Africa want to see is not just more plans and words, you've heard me say this before, they want to actually see actual implementation and the kind of boldness that the Deputy President and others are actually talking about, which again, we must thank the private sector as a collective for saying, here's a fund, we're already starting with $1 billion rounds of commitments, and we intend upon, without them saying it, I'll say it on their behalf, meeting the target that the Deputy President has set of 10 billion rands. On the steel question, there is a challenge, as you know, particularly coming from CCTV, that steel as an industry is in difficulty in most parts of the world. That we have a steel glut, depending on the type of steel that we are talking about around the world as well. Currently, Ministers Davies and Patel are dealing with this matter. You've seen an increase in tariffs for certain types of steel imports in order to protect the local production, and they will continue to work with the steel industry to see what other measures we can take to actually assist. But again, if you look around the world, you can see that governments generally are grappling with the actual mechanisms that might be available to actually help the steel industry. Thank you, Diti.
Colleagues, it is 10 o'clock now, and if you're like me, my mother told me that by 10 o'clock I should start making my way home. So I am going to ask President of COSATU, who speaks on behalf of Labour, to make a few remarks, and thereafter Mr. Jabu Mabuza. Then we say good night to one another, because we really have reached the end of the press conference.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Indeed, it's on behalf of COSATU, NAPTU, FEDUSA, and I'm sure the broader working class in our country. We just stand to confirm and register our commitment to this process. We came late and we cried hard, and we are in the quite positive to make a meaningful South African contribution to the plight of our country and the issues that are being raised. Indeed, we are going to throw in our weight and our bit to ensure that indeed our economic situation does indeed improve. That's what we want to say. We will be making our input into this process. Indeed, we are glad that people have allowed us to be able to do so. We have views that we want to throw in supporting the process.
Thank you, Deputy President. It is indeed late at night. Really, for me, is to say what we've been able to do as business, labor, and government is one, demonstrate that we can work together, and the results of the Moody's reaffirming our level gives us even more encouragement in the knowledge that we can also impress on S&P and Fitch. But also we're taking serious collective responsibility for this required inclusive growth that we also need to create jobs and indeed absorb these new statistics that have come out, Thulasizwe, that you referred to, of the unacceptable high levels. So this is calling for more festival of ideas in doing the things we've identified as the immediate things that we need to do, as against the more ideas of doing many things. And our emphasis, as you'll see in the pamphlet that we've circulated, is on implementation, transforming our economy, and reforming the various ways in which we're going about doing business. So this is urgent, it's serious, its seriousness is given testimony by the serious level of senior executives that are involved in this initiative. But what remains of us, Deputy President, is to say thanks to Team South Africa. Together we can do better. Thank you.
The last word will be the Minister of Finance, who wants to clarify the issue of this Moody's rating, because there seems to be a bit of a confusion.
Thank you, Deputy President. What we wanted to clarify, in the media there's a lot of different types of reporting. Moody's in December, as I look at the Director General, reaffirmed the level of our grading and switched from stable to negative in December 2015. When they issued the review report over the weekend, they were confirming that we remain at the same level and we remain at negative. They didn't change from stable to negative this weekend. It happened in December last year. And perhaps just to elaborate on Thulasizwe's point, many of the things that ratings agencies and others are looking at, for example, stabilizing debt, narrowing the deficit, undertaking fiscal consolidation, delivering a primary surplus, which means revenue exceeds expenditure, increasing business confidence. The budget delivered, the government's budget delivered that earlier in the year, and these processes and meetings that we're having now are delivering on issues of confidence and co-investment, as you've actually heard. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think that brings us to the end of what we were all about. It remains for me to thank everyone who is here, but more particularly for representatives from Labour, from business, both black business as well as established business, as well as government officials for being here, for the wonderful work that is being done. This is how we move South Africa forward, by putting shoulder to the wheel. And what we have done thus far has really been able to give our people hope. So we instilling quite a lot of confidence by demonstrating that we can work together, and we hope that this work can consolidate and it can bear fruit. And so far, what we've been doing together has really borne fruit. And let us move on and make sure that we solve the challenges. One person asked about whether we discussed the issues of the increased numbers of people who are unemployed. Yes, it did feature, and we all felt that we needed to act with greater urgency, with greater and speedier urgency. So we will be looking at all that, and the work streams are going to get busy and come up with a number of great solutions that will continue to take this country forward. I wish you a good night, and thank you very much. Travel well.
Thank you.